Now, when a national treasure hunt lands almost on your doorstep, it tends to get your attention. Ontario MPP John Vanthof recently stood up at Queen's Park to celebrate the Northern Miners' Great Canadian Treasure Hunt after one of the prizes was discovered just outside his home or his own hometown of Cobalt. He joins us now to talk about that moment of excitement and what it says about Northern Ontario's mining story and why the roads that connect those communities matter more than ever. John, thanks very much indeed for chatting to us.
Thanks for reaching out.
Well, look, I got to start by asking you, when you realized one of the treasure hunt prizes had been found just outside Cobalt, practically your backyard, how did you personally relate to that moment? I mean, did it feel like a win for the whole region, presumably?
Well, whenever something happens in your home territory, and especially so close to your home, and that is part of an industry that's so important to your area, I thought it was something that I need to let the legislature know about, and need to let them know about the importance of the mining sector in the province.
You're quite right, because the treasure hunt has clearly struck a nerve across the country. I mean, from your perspective, what does this kind of excitement say about Canadians' connection to mining, exploration, and the North?
Well, the one thing in my area where I live, everyone knows the importance of mining because everyone has family who is part of the sector or is in the sector. But sometimes when I'm in Queen's Park in Toronto, the knowledge isn't as high. You know, it just, and I thought that the treasure hunt it's a great idea. It was a way to bring people personally into the mining sector by thinking about, and not maybe winning, but thinking about what it would be like to win.
And you've said many times before that discovery doesn't happen in isolation, right? It depends on access. I mean, how critical are highways 11 and 17 right now in making sure Northern Ontario's mining sector can actually grow?
I think highways in the north are the number one subject, the number one issue, and not just for mining, for everything. What people in a lot of the other parts of the province don't realize is that there also are main streets. So when people who work in our mines, when they need to go to work, they're on the highways. But also when they need to take their kids to hockey, when we need to get groceries, when we are on those northern highways, and we're sharing them with Trans-Canada truck traffic. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's the route that connects our country.
One of the reasons why, presumably, you're pushing for some concrete changes, right? Returning road maintenance to the Ministry of Transportation for one, dedicated OPP traffic enforcement. I mean, no doubt this will change day-to-day realities for mining companies as well.
Oh, absolutely. So I've actually talked to the managers of some of our local mines who have the same issues that we do. We need to redesign the northern part of our Trans-Canada route and rebuild it, but that will take years and years. And no one is more cognizant of that than a mining company. They long-term investment and how big an investment. But there are things we could do today that would make an immediate difference for the safety of not only mine employees and their families, but everyone who lives in the north. That there are things that can make a big difference.
And it really does make economic sense to get those things right, doesn't it? I mean, the mining companies, for example, when you speak to them, talk about fewer closures, from preventable accidents. One of the key reasons why accessibility is so important in this economic equation.
Yeah, 100%. I've brought this statistic up in the legislature a few times. So from January 1st, 2025 to the end of September 2025, the stretch of Highway 11 between North Bay and Cochrane, which is a critical stretch, was closed. Portions of it were closed for 32 days. Now, if you think about it, when you're getting supplies, when you're, how can you, that has got to cost there's millions and millions of dollars of a lost economic opportunity there, and that the province needs to look at this and say, okay, how can we make sure that this is going to stop? A big issue that the province is talking about a lot is the Ring of Fire, right? That's also a a big mining project. And it is a big, sometimes I get a little bit upset about the Ring of Fire, honestly, because there's so many other sites in the mining sector that are super important. So it's not just the Ring of Fire, right? So the mining in my area is big. But to get to the Ring of Fire, they want to build a road, but that road, it eventually is going to come onto the Trans-Canada on Highway 11 and 17. So that's going to put even more pressure, right? So the government needs to give the road the respect that it is. It is the Trans-Canada Highway. It connects our country. It connects Northern Ontario to the south and to east and west, and it needs to be given that respect so that not only mining companies, but especially mining companies can flourish.
And I see that because you've been calling for that to be treated as an issue of provincial significance, right? What's at stake if that modernization doesn't happen, and what's possible if it does?
I think what's at stake, some economic opportunities are going to be lost. Some are never going to reach their full potential. I always speak about economic opportunities, but also, families' lives. This is more important. The families' lives are going to continue to be needlessly impacted. People are going to needlessly pay the ultimate price. If you look at the Trans-Canada system from east to west, the only part where the Trans-Canada Highway is not divided 4-lane is Northern Ontario. Now, why is that? And no one knows more than the mining industry how much economic potential has already come from Northern Ontario and how much can come from Northern Ontario. So why isn't the highway system that supports those mines, supports the families, supports the other industries? Because Northern Ontario isn't a one-trick pony. Mining is a big part of it, but it's not the only part. Why isn't it given not only the respect, but why does the government see the economic potential that project would create?
Yeah, and just finally, as we wrap up here, if there was one single sharpened call that you would make to federal government here on that issue, what would it be?
I think we are now in a time of crisis, and I think actually the federal government understands more than the province. I think in a time of crisis, this is a time to unite Canada, and the one of the weakest links in our Canadian system, in our infrastructure system, is the northern part of Highway 1117 in Northern Ontario. It's a single lane, 1950s, basically country road that attaches our country together. And every chain is determined by its weakest link. And in our road system, our Trans-Canada road system, that road is definitely the weakest link.
Yep. Well, let's hope that the mines continue to lift up Canada there, John, because we've got much more prizes to give away, and we hope to have a fully functioning, fertile mining industry. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, John Vanthof. Thanks very much indeed for your time.